So today we got Alexis Valladares out here, the top realtor in Miami and one of the fastest growing real estate coaches. I would say the numbers so you could see what's up, but I would just say look him up and do your own research so you could see how good he is in his game. So thank you for being out here.
Thank you guys for having me. It's an honor, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you because I know, again, you're one of the top real estate agents, and I just want to know, like, what got you into real estate?
So I'm not really sure how I ended up here as far as the real estate part of it. I've been an entrepreneur since I was like 14 years old. Like you said, one of your previous guests, I used to buy iPhones off of them and sell them. I used to buy iPhones, fix them, sell them. I had an auto detailing business at one point. I've always been someone that wanted to make my money work for me and not trade time for money, right? So everything that I've tried to do up until real estate was a failure for the most part, quote unquote, right? But those learning lessons per se is what kind of led me to real estate, because I at one point I was like, dude, I'm sick and tired of where I'm at. And 90%, right? The quote, 90% of millionaires come from real estate. So my mom literally knocked on my door one day. It was like, I was at rock bottom, right? I had just finished coming back from Wisconsin. I used to caddy. I caddied for like 4 years, where you carry the golf bags and shit. And my goal there was to save 20-25 grand, right? You made decent money, $300 a day, whatever the case was, and come back and launch a business. I didn't know what it was yet, right? I was just gonna launch my next thing. At that point, I had just failed my golf brand. I tried launching a golf ball and like golf equipment and all that kind of stuff, but COVID hit and my supplier was in China. So I was at rock bottom, and I was pretty depressed, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I was always the kind of person that the effort was never not there. You know what I'm saying? And I would see these people that were already succeeding, and I was like, why the fuck not me, right? Why am I not there yet? And then, bro, like, when you look back, like, you understand that, I don't know if it's God's timing, I don't know if it's the universe's timing, but you understand that every season that you go through has a reason, right? Later on, you see the reason behind that season. And I was at my lowest point, and then my mom just knocked on my door and was like, why don't you just get your real estate license? Like that, bro.
Wow, hey, shout out to mom.
Shout out to mom for sure. She's one of the biggest, probably, my parents and my family, and all the experiences that I've built through the years led me to this moment. So I decided to get my license, not even to sell real estate as a realtor, to kind of fix and flip homes.
Oh, cool.
I didn't know how the fuck I was going to do that, right? I had no money.
I asked what got you into real estate because there's so many different lanes when it comes to the real estate game. And then also I got my real estate license, and we talked off camera that we played baseball together. So I feel like being an athlete and getting into real estate, you're not the only one. So when it comes to being an athlete, getting into real estate, and then being one of the top performers,
right?
How did that happen? Did you find a mentor to get you to where you are now?
Correct. So I do coaching now as well. I'm a real estate coach, a sales coach in general.
How long have you been in the real estate game, just so that people know?
So I got licensed February 2020, and I did rentals, like where you represent tenants and landlords, for about a year. And on April 2021, I closed my first sale. Ever since then, I think I'm just over 50 million in sales volume, which, with the time span, it's a high amount of volume. But, obviously, like you said, when you get into real estate, there's so many different avenues that you can take. And if you don't have a specific person, like, telling you exactly where to go, I call it the GPS, right? If you're trying to get from Miami to California, back in the day and there was no GPS, you're turning blind. You're turning left when you don't know whether you should turn left or right or go straight or pause. So I try to do it on my own, right? I try to do the YouTube University, learn everything on my own. And I'm a person that has initiative, right? I'm resourceful. I can do things on my own. But having that person next to you, and, I do trainings, right? And I always say like this, and I'm like, I'm not here to fucking sell anybody on any kind of real estate coaching. I'm here to share my personal experience with you, right? I'm less than 3 years in the game, and I'm a top 1% realtor statistically. Not I say I am. Statistically, I'm a top 1% realtor in the nation, and that happened because I had someone that was a top 1% realtor in the nation mentor me, right? I got lucky. Shout out to him, Alex Del Valle. I'll say his name out here publicly for the first time. He's someone that had a huge impact on me because he's someone that's been in the game for almost 8 years now, I think, and he's been consistently closing real estate. So at that point in time, I had a stint with a couple brokerages, then I joined him, and I was lucky enough, I say it fortunate enough, because now I charge a lot of money for, private meetings, and he was someone that let me pay him on the back end. So whenever I would close a deal, I'd pay him on the back end, and I basically, for a year and a half, I would say, was in his office for 14 to 18 hours a day. mostly every day, right? So that's what it takes.
Say that again. How many hours
14
a day?
to 18 hours a day.
14 to 18 hours a day in his office. And
Correct.
that's just studying the game.
That's just studying the
being his
game,
shadow.
understanding how the phone calls work, and putting in all that extra work that no one wants to put in. When I do my coaching calls, people ask me, like, what can you guarantee me, right? Absolutely nothing. I can guarantee you the best piece of information you're ever going to get from anybody, because that's how confident I am in my information. I can't guarantee what the fuck you do with your time and my information. I can't guarantee anything. Right now, at the point that I am, I've had 6-figure months. And I don't say that to brag or anything like that. I'm someone that came from very humble beginnings. My family had money in the beginning, and then we lost everything. Those experiences really set the tone for me and the work ethic I have now. But if you're someone that thinks that 8 to 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, a lot of people think they work hard, brother. But now that I'm seeing my biggest months and I have, quote unquote, the most success, is when I'm putting in the most work. Right? Because it's about it's not about how can you get to the top, it's how can you stay at the top, right? And a lot of people don't understand that, bro, because we're in a generation where we're very soft. Everybody's very fucking soft. People don't have the mindset to, especially in real estate, to go through the trials and tribulations that are required, because real estate's a high, an industry where the level of success is very low. It's a high failure rate, like in baseball, right? You strike out 7 out of 10 times, you hit 300, you're still an all-star. In real estate, it's a much higher failure rate, so a lot of people get weeded out because of that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because in today's society, a lot of people are lazy and a lot of people are soft, and it's just not going to get you anywhere, because to be great at something, you have to sacrifice a lot.
Correct.
And sacrifice is something that's big with real estate and realtors, because from my experience, and I'm sure a lot of people could relate, the first year you're not guaranteed to make any money. Like you said, there's no guarantees. You're not guaranteed to make anything. Just because you have your real estate license doesn't mean you're going to make, any sales.
Correct.
And you have to sacrifice a lot of your time before making money. So how did you stay motivated when you were sacrificing so much time? And I'm assuming you're putting your friends to the side, maybe even your family to the side, to sacrifice all this time, not knowing if it's going to pay off or when it's going to pay off. Like,
right.
How did you stay focused and motivated?
So that's a good question. And the first thing I kind of want to give you an answer to that is, you said sacrifice certain things, right? To get to a place where, not a lot of people get to, it's not about sacrificing some things. It's about basically sacrificing everything. And I mean that because in the beginning, especially with the amount of vision that I have and the amount of dreams that I had, I was always projecting those dreams out to people, right? And people that are watching this that know me from before know that for a long time, nothing happened, right? It was just hard work, delusion, all these things that I was saying that were gonna happen. But like you said, we don't know. For me, it was like, I don't know when, right? I know it's gonna happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So for me, it was just staying concentrated on the purpose, right? So I always talk about purpose, right? If your motivators are external motivators, or if your motivators are money or financial gain, which I'm not going to lie to you, in the beginning they were, right? You're going to eventually run out of gas, right? We always talk about motivation. Motivation is bullshit. At the end of the day, someone watching this podcast gets hyped up. Fuck yeah. When I do a training, they're like, oh my God, that's just great. You made so much money in such a little period of time. You taught me how to do it. I'm pumped up. But then when 2 weeks go by, when 4 weeks go by, when 6 months go by, and it gets hard, and your friends call you on a Saturday and they're like, bro, come out, like, let's fucking hang out. That's when, like, the dogs are born, right? That's when the people that are really going to stand out. And I always say, it's like Kobe says, it's not about 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months. It's about the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of hard work and little habits, bro. It's really, honestly, in the little habits. People ask me all the time when I do a training after, they're like, what's the secret? And I'm like, that's the problem. That's the fucking problem. There is absolutely no secret. It's little habits. I can share with you all of them step by step, and it starts with consistency. Every top 7, 8, 9-figure earner says it's just consistency, right? How many times over and over again can you do the little things and compound that over an extraordinarily long period of time? That's when you're going to kind of see results. I know we kind of swayed away from the question, so if you want to re-ask it, but that's just a little bit of insight as to what was going through my mind when I first started, right? And it goes back to all the failures. A lot of people in entrepreneurship are scared to take risks. They want to get ready. For example, you guys are doing amazing, and I admire you guys because you guys just started, right? A lot of people want to wait till what? They have all the cameras, they have all the mics, they have the producers. But dude, fuck that. Get started and figure it out as you go. That's what I did, right? So that's what helped me. You were asking about the mentor. I wasn't afraid to fail. I wasn't afraid to get on the phone and get told to fuck off. I wasn't afraid to go show a house without knowing what the fuck I was going to say. I wasn't afraid to sit down in front of a client and present on a contract, not knowing fully what was on the contract. But through those experiences, you learn. and you learn quicker through that than versus just learning and watching YouTube and then not applying, right? So having a mentor and having someone guiding you that's been through it, that can say, hey, this is the path, this is going to get you here a little bit quicker, everybody's going to be different, versus you just straggling on your own. I think people could make it on their own, but with a mentor and a coach guiding you, and the right one, depending on what kind of a person you are, is just going to shortcut out of that. And most of the time, it's going to cost you money. But people don't understand that in order to play, you gotta pay. You know what I'm saying? Like I ask people, like, what's your ideal outcome for income in the next 12 months? $250,000, right? So when I break down my price of, and let's say one of my packages costs $12,000, and I'm like, well, let's put this into perspective, right? We're trying to solve a $20,000 to $25,000 a month problem, a one-time $12,000 investment if you have the money. Does that sound unreasonable to fix your $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a month problem for the rest of time? Does that sound unreasonable? Probably not, right? So it's just about perspective, man. But to finally answer the question, having a mentor or a guide or a coach is by far the most important thing in any industry. You know, find someone who's exactly where you want to be, who's doing the exact same thing you want to do, figure out a way to pay them or figure out a way to work with them, period.
Yeah, that's what's up. And just listening to you speak and just watching you, I know that you're very disciplined and you're very motivated. And I know you say like motivation is nothing, but at the end of the day, you can't be consistent if you're not motivated. And I think what drives people to be motivated and then consistent is their why. So I want to ask you, like, what is your why? Because it seems to me, before you even ask, that your why is very strong and it's powerful because it's gotten you to where you are now, and it's going to keep getting you to wake up in the morning at whatever time you have to get everything done on your to-do list. It all goes back to your why.
It all goes back to your why, and I'm a firm believer in that. The first thing I do want to say with that question is that, again, back to the motivating part, the motivation is external. Discipline is internal, right? I can't base my decisions on a daily basis depending on how motivated I am that day, right? If my why, we'll get to that now, is strong enough, my discipline has to be strong enough for the days, which are most days that I don't feel like doing this, I don't feel like coming to a podcast, I don't feel like doing the training, I don't feel like making the cold calls. Those days when you don't want to do it, depending on the level of discipline you have, that's what's going to separate you from good, great, and being the best, right? So I really want to share with people that don't rely on any kind of motivation. Of course, I watch those videos of Joe Rogan or David Goggins and to fuel you up, right? But you really, like, that's not going to be enough on the really hard days, right? I tell myself that, and I share this with people, the only things that can really prevent me from performing at a high level are family tragedy or health, right? Anything else, as long as your internal, your intrinsic thoughts, your intrinsic self-talk is firm, and your why is firm, which I'll get to that right now, anything external can affect your internal, right? True. Conor McGregor said that. So I don't rely on motivation. I don't rely on anybody else. I don't rely on you. I don't rely on haters. I don't rely on doubters. I don't rely on the money coming into my bank to decide what I do that day, right? So I think discipline is something that, it's obviously cliche, but it's something that has to be valued as more important than motivation.
I agree. I think it's like steps to where if you have nothing in life and you're just not motivated, I think step one is to get motivated and be motivated. Correct. But that's going to come and go. You can be motivated tomorrow and then not be motivated next week.
Right.
But I think motivation is step one, and then you have to turn that into discipline.
Correct.
And now you're almost on your way, but then from discipline comes consistency, to then where consistency builds habits. And now when you have consistency, discipline, and habits, you don't need that motivation anymore because of a position that you're in. When we speak, I can tell that you don't need to be motivated, and you say it yourself, right? Because I think you passed that. So I feel like,
but you're right. You got to start at motivation, right? You got to start at motivation, and I think it starts with the.
But at the same time, I may be right about it. But again, it's nothing. It's important, but it's nothing. It can be nothing.
Correct.
So without discipline and consistency, motivation is pure garbage.
Right.
It's just temporary.
I agree with that. Now, as far as the why, definitely the main principle, right? Because goals are ever changing, dreams are ever changing, the way you're going to get there is ever changing, the why is going to be changing, but the foundation of the why has to be external. It cannot be your own motivators, right? Your money, your financial gain, what watch you're wearing, what car you're driving, or what house you're living in. It has to be the effect that you're going to have on other people, right? Right now, my main why is obviously helping the students that are in my academy. We're almost at 50 students. In less than really 90 days since launch. It's been a project that's been in the work for 18 months, but it's it's growing very, very quickly, and the feedback is amazing. So forever grateful for that, and for the people that are around me making that happen. And my other main why is obviously my parents, right? My parents are still working. Definitely, there's been things that, there's been situations where, my dad the other day called me and he was like, "Look, I don't gotta do the old job I was doing anymore this year because of you." Right, and not even because of me providing him money, but he attended 2 of my trainings, and he's someone that, to get on a little more personal level, right? He had a lot of business success when I was younger, and a lot of things went sideways, right? We basically lost everything. Not basically, we lost everything, and that's what set my foundation up. And for me to have it come full circle where he's reaching out to me and saying, "You're the one that changed my mindset after all these years," because he was dwelling on this for years, brother. Like, I'm talking about, like, I'm not going to get into specific details, but to have that come full circle and have my dad say, because of your trainings, he's a business broker, right? So he has some sort of, he has to do with real estate as well. And he's seeing results now, right? He's making money. He just closed on a huge deal. And to know that stemmed from my training and what I'm putting in is truly the why, right? And then making sure that one day my mom doesn't have to lift a finger is the why, right? So if I don't feel good one day, or if I'm tired, but my mom has to wake up and bust her ass, like, you got to ask yourself the question, what kind of a man are you if the people that you love are waking up every day to work and you say you're this top person? Or, bro, if I'm whipping, like, when I first started making money, when I was making the 30, 40K a month consistently for the first time in my life, I'm not going to lie to you, bro. I had 2 whips. I had an AMG, I had a Tesla. I had my nice-ass fucking condo in Dayland. I bought a crib. I was remodeling it with every single dollar I had to the T, which is the crib I live in now. But my mom was still busting her ass. So I was like, wait a second, I'm spending 15 to 20K a month on base expenses, but my mom is still working. I had to reevaluate, right? So that's why I said it's ever changing, because you start, right? My first motivator, or quote unquote why, was money. I want to get out of the financial situation I'm in now. I want to move out. I want to drive the nice car. I want to have the Rolex. I want to have my own place. And when that hit, I was kind of like, this is great, right? Don't get me wrong. Gratitude is definitely the way to go, and being grateful. I'm extremely grateful for everything. But, there was days where I'm like, how's your day, Mom? Nothing, here at work. She owns an orchid shop, right? Shout out Natural Orchids Boutique, the best orchid business in Miami. She's been operating for more than 12 years.
So shout out to mom again.
Shout out to mom and dad.
Shout out to the parents.
She's putting in the work.
And I just want to say I respect you for saying that on this podcast, and this is your story, so it is what it is. But,
I appreciate the platform.
But I think that more people need to hear that, and that's my why as well. My why are my parents. I don't know if you're Cuban.
I'm Cuban, brother, yeah.
Okay, so my parents, so I was born here, but my parents are Cuban, and they came here when my mom was 19, my dad was 20. So they came here with no other option but to make it. They have to do something. They have to figure it out, and then they started a family, which is me, my brother, and my sister. So my why has always been to retire my parents.
Correct.
And I feel you, like, I kind of went through the opposite of what you went through. So, like, my family never really had anything, and they've been trying to provide for the family. And nowadays, like, thank God, the last, 5 years, everything is going great with my dad and his business. And now we're starting to go up. But I agree with you, and I think that we should all try to retire our parents because they work so hard for us. We should work way harder than they work because they're older than us, and they should enjoy the traveling and the partying way more than we should. But again, I'm not perfect. I've gone out and traveled a lot.
Of course, bro. That's part of life. It's not about being perfect, and that's not. I like that you said that, because
but I also like that what you said, where you said that you were making money, and instead of your why switched up, and I think that's very important because that awareness is, at the end of the day, was truly gonna like save a lot of people. Because if you're not aware of what you're doing, then you're just going to keep following what you think you like.
Exactly. And I like that topic that you mentioned about right now, self-awareness. I'm never trying to paint a picture that I'm perfect, right? Even to my coaching clients, like, I'm their role model figure, right? But what I want people to understand, that's why I'm very confident, and people mistake it for arrogance. But a lot of people throw out that word humble. Humble, if you look at the actual definition of humble, it's having a lower self-worth of what you're actually, worth and valued at. So if you stay humble, you're going to stay underpaid, right? But I always say the word grounded, right? Stay grounded. Understand that at any given time you can lose everything, but just be confident enough that you can get it back whenever the time is given, and understand that there's always going to be someone better. You can always learn from someone. So a kid, I say a kid because I'm 26 years old, right? Someone at my age with my level of quote unquote success, right? Finances, etc., 6-figure months, buying, multiple properties at this age, and leading a team of people, and having an academy of almost 50 students can be taken as like a huge gain, right? I'm the top of my industry, but if you compare, like, it's all about perspective, right? Like, if you're comparing yourself to the normal average 99%, God, I'm Jesus Christ, you know, in my industry. But when you compare yourself to, and not in a bad way, but when you look up to people that are, for example, the Patrick Bet-Davids, the Grant Cardones,
Hey, shout out
Ryan
PBD
Pinedas,
podcast, shout out Valuetainment, Patrick.
100%, you know, Pace Morby. These are people that you look at them and you're like, you know, there's so much more we could be doing, right? And it's not about, again, the money. It's about the impact we could have on other people. So I think it's really important to be self-aware. Again, I don't regret anything that happened in those first year and a half, 2 years, because all of those things were lessons, right? If I wouldn't have had those lessons, I wouldn't know how to act now. And I'm sure there's still things that I'm doing wrong now that in the future I'm gonna be like, yo, you were a dickhead for that, you know? But it's about being brave enough and having the courage to be self-aware to say, yo, I was tripping, like, you know, I was just doing what probably any other 26-year-old would do. And this is a huge thing that probably a lot of people don't know about me, but I'm a big Justin Bieber fan, like, personally, because a lot of people don't know what celebrities go through at certain ages, right? That's a whole nother topic. But this man, for example, was 15 years old when he got brought into the spotlight, and people were so quick to hate on his behavior. But motherfucker, if you're a 15-year-old with that kind of money, you're doing the same thing, if not worse.
Well, let me just say, if cameras were around me when I was 15, you'd think I'm crazy too.
Pissing in a bucket was going to be the least of your worries,
yeah,
for sure.
so it's a whole different lifestyle.
It's about perspective and being self-aware. That you know, for example, he's a person now that I believe is a good person, and there's a lot of people that make mistakes throughout life, but that the critical part of that process is being self-aware, to identify and say, yo, I fucked up. How can I make this better, right? I'm sorry. Forgive yourself. Forgive the people around you that you hurt, if you did hurt at that point, and say, how can I get better? Because it's an ever-going process. There's never an I made it moment. It doesn't matter how much money you have. You can ask anybody. You can ask any top entrepreneur that's truly grounded in their space that there's never an I made it moment. You wake up every single day, you pay the rent for what it is called success, right? Because there's different definitions. It depends on the person. But having that self-awareness and knowing when you're fucking up as you go too, like baseball players, right? Having that self-awareness to know, yo, I sailed, right? I opened up on that pitch. That's why the ball went left. If you're a lefty, right?
You gotta
having
adjust.
that quick self-awareness and not just saying, yo, I watched it on film after the game, but being able to adjust pitch by pitch and play by play in real life, that's what separates the people that level up, again, for like me, in 2.5 years, compared to the people that take 15 years, 20 years, or never do it, right? So I think self-awareness is a huge topic that could take people to the next level quickly if they know how to apply it.
So you said it took you about like 18 months. So I want you to take me through, let's say for the realtors that are listening, 2020, you got your license. I want you to take me through what it was like for you to get your license.
Water? You have water? You guys have water?
Yeah.
Thirsty as hell.
Yeah, the red cups are there, and then you can just get it from the fridge.
Fire.
So
Sorry about that, bro.
No, you're good. So 2020, from getting your license to then studying the game to then being confident in the game, and now you're teaching others. Take me through that like cycle for you. Like at what point did you know that, okay, I got it and I can make my own money now? And now from there, how did you go from I can do it and make my own money and I'm making good money, let me teach everyone else and start this academy?
Right. So let's start with step A, right? Getting licensed as a realtor in Miami.
Because just step A to step B for a lot of people could be very tough.
Could be very tough, right? Because the test is very hard, but thanks, bro. I think
not even the test. I'm talking about from getting the license to then actually start closing deals.
Right. So I was afraid I should have gotten my real estate license way before, because the topic was brought up by my dad. But it was always of a perspective of, yo, it's really hard. The failure rate is really high, so I always push it to the side, which is true for most agents, right? But I'm gonna mention a word here that I say a lot. It's called proximity, right? So I understood this because of previous failures, that depending on how close you were to people that were being successful in an industry was dependent on how quickly you were going to succeed. So I had success very, very quick, right? Because I worked my ass off and I understood. I knew nothing about real estate, but I understood the topic of proximity. So when I first started, I got close to people that were already closing deals. You know, it's not that hard to do it. In Miami, if you know anybody, you can ask about the top brokerages. There's always advertisements. And then when you get to that brokerage, just ask who the top producers are and who's willing to mentor, right? You come into the brokerage, you say, yo, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I just need someone to teach me, right? And the first thing you want to learn as a new agent, if you're trying to, for example, go from part-time to full-time or just stabilize income-wise, is rentals, right? You want to learn how to represent tenants and landlords. And you can make money realistically in less than 30 days. Like, if you have, all you got to do is get the business. That's another thing that I want to mention real quick. If you can bring me back to topic once I finish this, that people try to learn everything before they apply. They want to learn the contract. They want to learn the terminology. They want to learn all the legal stuff on the contract before they even go out and try to get a client. And that's why people wait 3 to 6 months, 12 months. They fail because they run out of money.
See, I was the opposite.
Yeah.
What I did was I found a good broker that told me that he's willing to help me with deals that come in. So that got me to say, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to get deals to you and then just help me close them. And that's how we worked, and that's what I thought was best, because if I was to sit down there and look through all those contracts and all the legal, like you said, you're just going to waste your time and you're not going to have any action.
Correct. So with the theory of, learning as you go, you're going to fuck up. You're going to learn as you go. And if you have someone saying, hey, yo, this is the right way to do it, is how you're going to learn that actual knowledge. But the actual part that makes money is bringing in the client, right? So to anybody, when I first, just to go back to my story real quick, when I first started, I immediately started making money. Like, immediately started closing rental deals, and it was in the middle of COVID. When I first started, I got on the phones. I started cold calling what they call for sale by owners, people that don't want to use a realtor representing them and they're trying to sell their home on their own. And I had success because I dove into YouTube University and found quote unquote mentors, and probably spent easily 100 hours learning the scripts, learning how to talk to these people, actually calling the people and having no idea what to say and applying that. So again, this is like mindset part, but if you tell yourself you can close your first deal in the first 6 months, that's how long it's going to take you. I told myself I need money in 30 days.
Yeah.
I was carrying golf bags, bro. I didn't want to carry no more golf bags. I was traumatized from doing that, from people literally looking at me like if I was a piece of, garbage on a golf course. I needed money in 30 days. So I said, how the fuck do I do this, right? So anybody here, anybody that has a real estate license can literally get a property on the MLS, which is what realtors use, the multiple listing services, posted on Facebook Marketplace, and immediately have hundreds of people that want to rent their property. All you got to do is now find someone that can, do this, do that, which obviously in my academy you can do, right? So if anybody here watching this video is interested, my Instagram is obviously my name, alexis.valladaress. DM me and let's talk. But when you start making rentals in Miami, you get paid half of the month, right? So an average rental commission was $1,500 per se, right? You do 2 or 3 of those and you're making $4,000 or $5,000 a month. That's pretty good money for anybody that's trying to transition from part-time to full-time. At that time, I was living at home. I had no expenses. I needed $4,000 or $5,000 a month to really start taking my game to the next level. So I did that for about a year. I did probably over 50 rental transactions in a year. Bro, I'm talking about...
Well, let's just stop right there, because I feel like a lot of realtors are going to get discouraged and they won't even do what you just said.
Exactly.
Doing rentals for a year is the grind.
It's a bigger grind than even sales. And the reason why I didn't just start going straight into sales was because of COVID. I literally got licensed February 2020, and people stopped selling their homes for a little period of time. And I was like, I can't wait for this to stabilize. I got to do rentals, right?
What's good with rentals is they end up buying anyways.
They end up buying. So half of them ended up buying, right? Now, as a coach, I kind of take every single individual individually, and I say, where are you at in life, right? Because if you're part-time trying to go to full-time, I say, let's do rentals. But if you're someone that has savings and you have 3 to 6 months of reserves, I say, let's jump it right into sales. Because when you break it down prospectively, one sale, an average sale in Miami, which the average purchase price is $550,000, divided by whatever your commission is, usually 2.5%, you're making anywhere from 12 to 15 grand a deal. That equates to about 10 to 15 rentals. So I kind of put that into perspective. Yes, it's good. It's a good pipeline builder, but think about this also. I'm not trying to do this for 5 or 10 years. Realistically, I will sell homes forever and I will represent clients forever. But again, back to your why and your goal setting. If you have bigger plans and your timeline for those plans are X, Y, Z, you got to understand what's going to get you there quicker. Right, so that's why I say, depending on the person, on what their situation is, if you're someone that has reserves, I'll teach you how to jump right into sales. But for me, in my own situation, you got to understand that your own situation is different. I needed that vessel of rentals to get there. As soon as I had that, I put myself in an uncomfortable position, and I started making the cold calls again. And right off the bat, brother, when I joined this new brokerage that I'm at now, shout out to Lifestyle International Realty, I got on the best team, which is a team I'm still on. I have my own academy, which is separate, but I'm still on a team of all top producers. I've been the top producing agent on that team for 3 years now myself. But again, it's the proximity, right? The first month I made $30,000 in that group, right? Again, I knew how to handle the conversations, but being around people that were making that kind of money, the conversations were different.
The 30,000 was off commissions with rentals or both?
One client. A seller that sold his house and bought a home with me. One client. It was a sale. Fire. And that's another topic that I want to touch base on really quick. Realtors confuse in the industry. They think they need 10, 15, 20 clients to make money, bro. You need 1 or 2 solid clients that's going to sell, buy, and then sell his investment property to make 30, 40 racks. So I'm not going to get super into that because that's what I teach. But I'm very selective with who I prospect. I don't take just any client. And I learned this with rentals. There was clients that had 500 credit or 700 credit. Which one do you want to work with?
Yeah.
Of course, the one that has 700 credit. You know what I'm saying? And we're also here to help people, but understand what your strengths are. My strengths were helping people that were ready to go, right? If someone had bad credit, I would definitely refer them to a credit repair company and help them through the process of what it looked like to fix that. But I was focused on clients that were ready to close ever since rentals. So that's why I was able to do a lot of them quickly. But a lot of realtors, they're like dogs, like desperate for water, you know, out there because it's tough. It's tough. But they instead of qualifying and doing the business with the people that are actually going to close, they chase around people, show houses around Miami, get stuck in traffic all day, write up these offers that are not going to get accepted with clients that are not qualified, and then they say, yo, this industry sucks. It's hard. It is hard, but it depends. If you have people in your ear telling you what to do, it's not that hard, right? You understand what I'm saying? All you got to do is be consistent, disciplined, and put in the hard work. But that's why I say, man, anybody here that wants to cheap out on a mentor, if you don't have money, find someone and say, yo, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll work for you, right? I have people on team that I don't pay them anything per se, but I exchange the value. I teach them how to do everything, and they make money. But there's never an excuse to not have a mentor, bro. A lot of people, if you're someone that goes on Instagram and scrolls and it's like sees a coaching ad and you're like, oh, that's a scam, that's why you're broke. That's why you're broke. Right? Ask anybody. Like these people that go to these conferences, the Patrick McDavid conference, the AI conferences, those are people that are ready to make money, bro. Like if you're ready to invest, I still have coaches. I will always have coaches, bro. The top people, I'll finish this real quick. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, you know, all these top people, Miguel Cabrera, what do they have around them? Fucking coaches. Like you never stop learning. So anybody that gets into this industry specifically and says, yo, I don't need a mentor, you're gonna stay broke, period.
Yeah, the word you said was expense, and that's what I was going to say. It is an expense, and if you understand...
It's an investment.
Investment, yeah, sorry. If you understand business, you understand that there is going to be expenses and there is going to be investments. The difference is that when you have an expense, you're just basically throwing money away that doesn't get anything back. When you invest your money into something like a coach or a mentor, that $500 can make you a lot more than $500.
Correct.
And at the worst case, it makes you $500. Now you spent zero, but you got knowledge. And that knowledge can take you different places.
That's actually a line that I use, and it's not a sales tactic. It's to put perspective, right? What I kind of do with sellers, buyers, and coaching clients is I help them get perspective, right? So I say to someone, right, you know, you want to solve a 30, like these are the higher end clients. You want to solve a $30, $40, $50,000 a month problem, and I'm charging you $20,000, right? You have the money. Let's put it into perspective, right? What's the worst thing that can happen if you invest this 20 grand and you get nothing out of it? Are you going to go homeless for a client that's already making money? Are you going to go homeless or you're not going to be able to pay rent, your mortgage? Are you not going to be able to pay your car bill? No, absolutely not. I'm going to lose 20 grand. It's a lot of money. I don't want to lose it, but I'll lose 20 grand. Now, what's the best thing that can happen if you invest those 20 grand, right? You take your business from 50 grand a month to 100 grand a month for the rest of the time. What does that look like for you, right? Perspective. Right, so it's again, it's about perspective. Some people, that 20 grand is $500 or $1,000, but you gotta allow yourself to think, what's the worst thing that can happen here, right? I lose $1,000, right? That's the worst thing that can happen. Keep on going, right? You guys go fucking spend $1,000 at the club, no problem.
Exactly.
You know, you're broke. That's why you're broke. And broke, really quick, it's not a shot at people that don't have money. Broke is a condition of the mind, not of the pocket, right? You can have $0 in your account. You can be negative 500 in your account. As long as you're thinking positively up here and you have the right mindset, you're not broke. You're just poor in money at that point in time. But broke is just a condition of the mind, not of the pocket. So people have to understand that you got to look at both sides when you're making an investment with a coach. You can't just say, yo, like I'm going to throw down $1,000. Okay, what's the worst thing? You lose $1,000. What's the best thing that can happen? This person changes my life. I make the income I've always wanted to make. I retire my parents. How important is that to you, bro? You know, that's the perspective that I try to put into these clients' their head so they can look at both sides, right? Because they typically just look at the investment side, because most of us are trained to not make those kind of decisions, right?
Yeah, so, and at the end of the day, if you value your money, when you spend $1,000 on a training, you're going to be there on time and you're going to try to absorb as much information because you spent that $1,000.
Correct.
You're not just going to spend $1,000 to hopefully get money or wisdom in return. That's not how it works.
Correct. So that's another thing that I tell these clients is, if I said, yo, let's work together, right? If we close a deal, we'll do 50-50. How committed am I to you if I have no skin in the game, if I don't have to provide a service? And how committed are you to me if you don't have any money on the line? Probably not that committed. Let's say you invested 10 grand though right now. I'm legally, right, contractually obligated to you per my program, and you have your $10,000 investment on the line. how much more willing to make that happen, to see that through, are you going to be if you have that kind of money on the line, right? So it's about putting also your clients in the right perspective, in the right position. I did a lot of research before I started this academy. And to get to that now, you know, before this was even a thought or a reality, the thought was always in the back of my head, right? Ever since I was doing nothing, quote unquote, like seeing no success, I always saw myself. I have a post. I don't know if you do the editing.
Yeah.
We can throw it up here on my Priv account. Back when I had a Priv account in 2015, or it was just a picture of me and my friends, and I was like, I'm gonna be famous, right? So even when there was, when I was having to ask him over there for $1 for a McChicken, you know, when I was having to pay for gas and quarters, there was always that thought of like, I don't know why, but one day I'm gonna be on a stage influencing people, right? It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper, I'm gonna be a singer. It was, I'm gonna be a real influencer, someone that goes into a stage, says the words,
Were you listening
talks.
to those type of people at the time? Is that why you were inspired?
Always, bro. Always. I had a page on Instagram, like I said, Millionaire Mentality, where I would get this, you know, nice pictures, put motivational quotes, and share them. So that's another thing, man. I tell people, like, you got to know who you are, right? Mm-hmm. So I got amazing people on my team that understand their role, right? It's like if you're playing on the Miami Heat and Jimmy Butler tries to play like Tyler Hero, and Tyler Hero tries to play like Jimmy Butler. They understand their role, right? I've been a fucking diehard entrepreneur since I was 14 years old. I understand that this is my life, right? There's some people, like, for example, Justin, that was never really an entrepreneur, but he started getting around me and he started changing his mindset. So people also got to understand, are you a leader or are you someone that's going to be more of a team player? Right, and there's nothing wrong with that, bro. But people try to play the role that they're not, and that's where they fuck up, right? So I understand that I'm a leader. I've always been a leader, so my mindset's always been on leading. But obviously in this space, you need social proof, you need credibility, and you need numbers. To teach someone how to fucking sell real estate, you need to sell real estate. That's why, that's another topic, bro. There's people that teach different things in different industries that do it 1 or 2 times, and they're like, I'm a mentor. I'm like, you know, dude, like, that's why I at this point in time, I have to balance my real estate business, still top produce. I'm having the best year of my life, real estate wise, numbers wise, and I'm still growing this academy. You can't, and you can do whatever you want, but I want to be a person that's teaching something I'm actively doing, especially in an ever changing industry like real estate, right? But kind of back to the topic of being a role player, you got to know who you are, right? If you're Kyle Lowry and you try to play like Jimmy Butler every game, you try to take those shots, you're gonna get traded. You know what I'm saying? So these people that I have on my team right now, and I'm very confidently saying that the people that are around me right now are the best it's ever been, you know? Understand the role. So that's another thing that I teach. That's another thing that I want to say. I don't really just teach real estate. I teach entrepreneurship from start to end. A lot of people just teach you, yo, this is how you cold call. But if you don't first rewire the mind, because most people, you got to understand, are not like myself. They're not like other entrepreneurs that have been doing it since they're fucking 12 years old. They're people that got into the space, got tired of 9 to 5, got tired of corporate, and now they want to do it. But you got to understand who you're dealing with. So the first thing I do with a client is try to rewire their mindset. Because if I go and sit down for 6 months and teach you how to do everything real estate, but then when the shit gets going and you start to get slapped in the face by the industry, and you got to really like be resilient. How is this up here? How's this going, right? How's your mental health? How is your mindset? How disciplined are you? So that's the first part of coaching that should be tackled. Rewiring the mindset, setting goals, really setting the foundations for, again, the years to come. People in Miami especially, man, and all over the world they want instant gratification. Do this, get that. It's not about that, brother. It's about being a process-oriented individual. Fall in love with the actual act of doing versus what you're going to receive. When I first started, bro, I'm not going to lie, I was a result-driven individual. I wanted the money. I would check the bank account every day. But when you start falling in love with the process, the results will follow. When you chase the results, what are they going to do? They're going to run. Just like when you're at the club trying to go after women, what's going to happen? They're going to run. But when you start building your personal brand, you start seeing success, you start putting up credibility. Brother, I don't care about women, right? But I can probably get any girl I want in my life. But I have a girlfriend, so
I say you
gotta throw that out there. But when you chase things, it's gonna run. When you let things come to you and you're not really worried about the results, everything's gonna come to you. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with money.
Yeah, I say that about, I've said that before on this podcast, where I believe if you continue to chase girls, but you're not focused on yourself and you're not bettering yourself and you're not trying to be the best version of yourself, you're just going to keep chasing. And then even the girl that you end up getting might not be the one for you because you chase so many of them.
Correct.
But if you focus on yourself and you're worried about, your life and how you could add value to yourself and the woman that's going to enter your life, there's going to be women coming from left and right that you're going to pick and choose which one you want to. And you even cut some off because you decided that, you know what, she's not good enough for me, or she doesn't have the values that I want in a woman. So let me see this one over here instead of the guy that's chasing and then finally gets one that isn't the one, but he's he's just happy to get one.
Yeah, so we can talk about that. Like the way I put it, and for anything in life, whether it's coaching, real estate, women, friends, consumers are the best creators, right? So we got to understand how the women thinks. The women wants a guy of what? Status, value. That's all we are, right? We're here to protect, provide, have a status, and have a certain value. If we don't have that, the woman's not going to want to be with you, right? Now, there obviously are cases where people see they meet their high school sweetheart and they build up and they go through that entire journey together. But for the most part, if you're a single guy in your 20s or 30s, you got to understand that women are consumers, right? At the end of the day, it's the hard, cold truth. If you're really trying to find a woman for love and affection and all that kind of stuff, like, you're probably going to end up getting heartbroken, right? You got to understand that women want to consume a man that can provide protection, value, monetary security, and that's just the fact of the matter, brother. You know, so you got to, like you said, work on yourself first and build yourself up to another level, and then you'll gain access to basically whatever woman you want. And at that point, you're not gonna want the women, bro. You're gonna want the one girl.
That goes to just loving yourself. If you don't love yourself, you cannot give love to anyone else.
Well, again, you gotta go through phases, though. You got to go through phases. Of course, we've all gone through that phase of that we want every single girl. You know, we talk to our boys.
Well, that's why I say what I say now, because I've gone through that. You know, like, we all go through it, and then it just, like we talked about, you have to be aware and you have to know that what's wrong and what's right and keep moving forward and just get better.
So I agree. You got to go through it first, right? It's because I've been the type of person that people like tell me, like, yo, you gotta, you know, this is gonna happen if you do this. You should not do that. And I'm like, I'm gonna do it anyways, because experience is the best teacher. So with girls, bro, you gotta understand that unless you go through it, like, we all gotta go through our whole phase. You know what I'm saying? To understand what we really want out of a girl. But to any guy here watching this that thinks that having a bunch of girls is the answer, it's just an empty.
Well, it takes up a lot of time and energy. If you have the time and energy for that, then more power to you. But
what are you doing, though? What are you doing? How big is your why? Like, are your parents still working? You're at the club with a bunch of girls, but your parents are still working, you know?
If you have the time and energy, just be prepared for what you're going to be, you know, putting out. Because at the end of the day, having a lot of girls, like, you know, like you said, we've all gone through our whole phase. We know what it's like. And I know from experience that to be able to try to have a lot of girls in my life, that takes up a lot of my time and my energy. And to be honest, the reason why most of the time, and I've been saying this since high school, most of the time I'm not in a relationship, I'll tell the girl, even if we like each other, that realistically, look, I have baseball right now and I can't dedicate this much time to you because I have baseball that I have to put this time to. When baseball wasn't in my life anymore, girls were still coming into my life, but I had to tell them the same thing. Look, I need to dedicate this much time to this business that I have, or this much time to this job that I have, and I need to value my goals and my time. This is how much time I have for you. Most of the time, girls don't like that, and they want more attention for them.
But it creates the opposite effect, right? It creates a scarcity, and they want it more.
Right, and I'll tell them straight up. At the end of the day, look, this is what I need in my life, and you can be there with me and support me, or you cannot. And that's okay.
And that's it.
Regardless.
It's the same with business, man. If you chase a client, if you try to sell yourself, if you try to convince people as to why they should work with you or use you, you're going to create the opposite effect. But when you create scarcity and you go with information-based tactics, which is what I do in real estate, people are going to want to work with you, right? So everything in life is sales, but I believe in, right, quote-unquote sales, having friends, having relationships, financial success. But I think that doing the opposite, like I call it, you know, quote unquote reverse selling, which is not really selling in itself. It's just, you're just presenting information to your prospect, whether that's a girl, whether that's a friend, whether that's a client. You're presenting enough information for that person to decide whether they want to use you or not, right? At the end of the day, when you make people feel obligated to a certain decision, they're going to back away. It's just our natural tendency. So another huge part of sales and life is just understanding how the human brain operates, right? And that's why I said it's not just hard work, ambition, dedication, it's knowledge, right? It's the gap is how much do you know? You don't know what you don't know, you know? So getting yourself around individuals that know more than you and being in rooms that people have more money than you, more knowledge than you, and more quote-unquote success than you is probably one of the most important factors determining your success rate and how quickly you get there and how long you stay there, right? Because it's all about longevity, bro. We're fucking young. I'm 26 years old, bro. I could lose it all tomorrow, right? Quote-unquote all, whatever the fuck that means, right? But people, that's why I said people are humans of instant gratification. They want things right now. They work 10 hours. They want to get paid for 10 hours. And we got to understand, man, that it's a short life, but at the same time, like, if you really build the right foundations right now, you can set yourself up forever. But people don't want to put in those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years of foundation work, bro.
Well, speaking of the foundation, tell me about your habits, because I want to know, like, obviously we are creatures of habits. our life is based off of our habits, whether we like it or not, whether we know it or not. So how were your habits before you got into the good habits that you have now? Because I would assume you would say that you have good habits right now and you have
For
a good,
sure.
healthy schedule. So
For
run
sure.
me through what your schedule and what your habits were before that, and now how you were able to, like get that awareness and then like find the good habits and basically transform into who you are now.
Right. So I like the fact that you said transform. It will 100% take leaving the old person you were completely behind and becoming a brand new person, right? So I don't really talk to old high school friends. I talked to a few of them, but like I'm a new person, right? So they don't even know who I am anymore because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take literally completely changing into a new person, leaving the old habits behind and embracing the new one. So for me, bro, I was a person that was very emotional. I was very emotionally attached to results in life. So if something had a good outcome, I was happy. If something had a bad outcome, I was sad. So I would get depressed and then I'd be really happy. I would fall asleep really late, wake up really late, or I would go to sleep really early and then wake up really early. And it was dependent on how I felt, right? So I would listen a lot to my feelings. So I think it all boils down to that, listening to how you feel. Again, it has to do with discipline. So when I was not really seeing success, I was drinking. I was not saying no. The power of saying no is huge. I would say yes to everything. Yo, you want to come to a party? Yes. Yo, you want to hang out? Yes. So understanding the power of no, understanding that, let's say you're making, $2,000 a month, right? But you want to make $100,000 a month. Understanding that acting as if your time was worth the $100,000 a month already is the key to getting there, right? Because when we're worth $2,000 a month, we're like, yo, yeah, I'll go to the fucking club with you. I'll go to chill with you, have Flanagan's, whatever the case is. But really telling yourself, I'm already here at where I want to be and acting that way, right? So someone that's making $100,000 a month ain't waking up at fucking 12 p.m. So I told myself, yo, I got to start waking up earlier, right? My first 3 years of grind were 4 a.m. When I started making bread, I was like, yo, I can wake up at 9. Guess what happened? It was like harder for me to maintain the success. Now I try to wake up every day at 4.
4 a.m.?
3:45. Ask these boys right here. Where are we at the gym? Mostly every day, right? Because you got to also listen to your body. You can't be a fucking robot. If I, for example, today I'm going to be going to bed, adrenaline, whatever the case is, 12:30, realistically, bro, like you need sleep as well, but understand that trying to fall back into that schedule as much as possible is, again, discipline. When you're slacking off, not slacking off because this is work, right? We're creating content, but bringing yourself back to your routine is what's important. So now the habits that I have.
Yeah, it's important for people to hear this.
Correct. So before, most of the habits were.
Let's say, just out of curiosity, let's say you're waking up at 3:45, 4 a.m. What time are you going to sleep?
When I'm waking up at 3:45, 4 a.m., depending on the day, right? If I have a day where I'm traveling and I'm doing trainings elsewhere, I need to start my day early. I need to pour into myself first, which is what the first thing I do is at 4:15, 4:30, we're in the ice bath, right? Again, 99.9% of the people are not doing that, brother.
Yes.
We're the first ones at the gym, first of all, and we're the only ones in the ice. So pouring into myself, feeling good on a day like that where I'm traveling. For example, yesterday we woke up at 4:30 because I was traveling all day. I had 2 trainings, I had coaching, I had events, and I need to feel good. Most people wake up and they get straight into it. I can't do that, bro. Like, if I'm going to wake up one day at 8 or 7, I got to know that I have 2 hours to myself first, because that's super, super critical. And before, I was waking up and jumping straight into the computer,
Right.
which is, again, most of the things that we're consuming on a daily basis are negative. Emails, news, Instagram, comparison to other people. So I try to avoid, for the first 2 hours, anything external and anything negative.
I've even tried to avoid screen time because a lot.
Correct.
Like, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I found myself almost as soon as my eyes wake up, I'm either going to my phone for the alarm or right after going to see my messages, my emails, Instagram, this and that. You're constantly consumed by your phone within the first 2 minutes of waking up. And I think it's important, like you said, to disconnect for about 2 hours and almost act like you don't have a phone.
Right.
Don't respond to anyone because the world will think you're sleeping, like act as if you're sleeping to your phone,
Right.
but go and focus on yourself, because that's where a lot of that, like, people don't realize how much time gets taken away from your day when you're on your phone. Even a 20-minute screen time when you wake up is crucial to what could have been a 20-minute workout or 20 minutes of going in the shower and getting ready eating breakfast.
Right. So.
And sorry, I also like what you said about how habits and how you wake up early, because I asked about how you go to sleep at night when you wake up early, because for the people that haven't tried this before, when you wake up early and you're constantly waking up at 4:45, 5 a.m., you're going to be really tired by 8 or 9 p.m. And that's normal and that's okay. And that's what's going to help you wake up early the next day and get that good rest, as opposed to the person that has a habit of going to bed at 11, 12, 1, or 2, because they're not going to wake up early the next day. And when you don't wake up early, your body will still be up at 10, 11, 12.
Exactly.
And then you're going to still be
same
up.
cycle.
Exactly.
Same cycle.
And I've been in that cycle. Like we all have.
Dude, I used to be the guy that, like, again, I used to think I was a night owl. That was the excuse I gave myself.
Yeah, same. And I bartend, so imagine, like, I got used to that lifestyle. But again, like, my thing is that when you start to get habits that are good for you and you start to wake up early and you realize, like, I used to be a night owl because I didn't realize it, but I wasn't resting enough. And then throughout my day, like, I wouldn't wake up as early. So throughout my day, I'd have a day and then it's like 11 o'clock and I don't want to go to bed and I'm not tired. So I'm a night owl. But in reality, if I would have woke up early, my energy wouldn't be there. And, like, I'm happy to go to bed at 9.
Right. So I think it depends, right? Because during a building phase of a business where you're not prospecting, which is what I was doing before I was building a golf brand, and this is a critical lesson that I'm gonna give real quick. Is that okay? Cool. Yeah, let's start again. So I want people to understand this, which is I'm glad this came up, which is a huge point that I've learned, is that a lot of people try to build a business before they have clients. Right, so I want to make sure people understand that you got to sell your product first before you have a product, quote unquote. When I was a night owl, I was building my golf brand. I was designing the ball, R&R, testing the golf ball. Spent 2 years doing that, brother. Going to sleep late. But the reason why high performers wake up early is because they pour into themselves in the morning, and then from 8:30 to 5:30 p.m., they're prospecting. They're closing deals. That's when people are consuming. So if you're waking up at 12 p.m., 1 p.m., you're already halfway through the prospecting day. If you're selling a product, you need to be prospecting at that time. But most people get it confused and they try to build before they sell. For the Academy, brother, I sold before I built, right? I sold before I built, and I wouldn't have learned that if I wouldn't have failed first. So people have to understand that depending on your phase, like if you've already sold, right? If you just sold the company and you have a bunch of money and you want to per se build, you could build at night, right? It depends. We're not here to say that there's a one size fits all, but for the brain, the circadian rhythm, it actually is, wake up at dawn and go to sleep at dusk. That's how it works, and it feels good. But you got to understand where you are at individually. And I just wanted to say that for those people that think that they have to build a beautiful product first, then sell it, that's the wrong way to engineer. You got to sell the product first, make sure that it works, and then you fine tune it as you go. Because without capital and without funds, you can't really scale a business. That's back to the concept of people being perfect before they go, knowing everything before they start. So, but yeah, man, waking up at 4:30, the biggest effect it has for me is the confidence booster, right? You tell yourself you're going to go to bed at this time, you do it. You tell yourself you're going to wake up at this time, you do it. You pull up to the gym, there's no one in the parking lot, and you get in the freezing cold water, and you know that you're better than 99.99999% of people already that day. So that's like it sets the tone for what's to come that day, right? You cannot start the day negatively when that happens, but when you wake up, you go on Instagram, and you start scrolling, and you start seeing people's success, and you start getting in your head, you already had a negative start to the day, right? So you're much more likely to be able to conquer your day and handle the negative things that get thrown your way if you started off with an ice bath, sauna, therapy for your body, and a workout. You did what 99.9% of the people didn't do that day.
I think eating healthy is extremely important too. At least from my experience, when I eat healthy, I feel better. I feel a lot better throughout my day, and I feel like I want to experience that again the next day, and that's how you build habits.
It's about, you see that result the first day, and you're like, wait, that kind of felt good.
Yeah.
Let me do it again. And then momentum, bro.
Once you create big, good habits, you realize that the bad habits that you had were very detrimental to what you're actually trying to get to.
You almost think back, and you're like, how the fuck was I doing that? You understand what I'm saying? But the hardest part is the first 30, 40, 50 days where you're breaking the cycle, right? Yeah. But once you build what I call momentum, which is like life momentum, sales momentum, whatever the case is, once you start getting that ball rolling, it's really hard to stop, right? Once you're at the gym for 90 days and you see the results, which we shouldn't focus on, but once you start seeing that, you're like, I don't want to stop now, right? And then now let's think about long-term. If you're result-oriented, once you get the six-pack and you're shredded, what are you going to do? You're going to stop. But if you focus on the process and the habits, it doesn't matter what the result is. You're going to keep going, right? You're going to have phases where you're a little bit stronger, a little bit bulkier, a little bit skinnier, but the process remains the same, right? Same thing with income. My goals were result-oriented. I want to make this much a month. When I made that kind of money, I was like, yo, I'm chilling. That's when you start going downhill. But when you're process-oriented, you're not really worried about what the result is, so you can have longevity, right? That's what people don't understand, which is what matters, longevity. How long can you do it for? You do it one time, good time. Good. You do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, great. Can you do it over a long period of time, bro? That's where the greats really become the greats.
Yeah, and I like what you said earlier about how you don't just have an academy and then you took some time off of real estate. You're building real estate as you're teaching, and I think that's extremely important because it's one thing to lead, but you have to lead by example. So when it comes to you and your schedule, how do you find time to? Because and this again is for the people that are in real estate and are thinking it's super hard and they don't know how they're going to do it.
It is super hard, by the way.
For sure.
Yeah.
So how is it that you manage your time to where you're able to continue your real estate career and keep building, keep selling, but then also have the time to help others as well? Because I see you training and you host a lot of training seminars and you're really helping a lot of people. Like, you're not a type of person that just helps people through the phone or through text or through online. You're actually face to face with these people. I see you fill out rooms all the time. So how do you find that balance with the two?
So again, let's go back to the beginning where I said you basically got to sacrifice everything because there's really not much of a quote unquote personal life, right, at this point. And that's fine because I know where I'm going and I know where I'm headed. But RGAs, right, revenue generating activities, I make sure that everything that I'm doing throughout the day is correlated to making money, right, per se. And then the way to actually organize that is something that a lot of people probably know about is time blocking. Right, so you write down all the activities you have to do that day on a separate piece of paper with no specific order, and then you get all those activities and you put them in your calendar. You plug them in. How long is this going to take? Boom. From 10 to 12, I'm doing this. From 1 to 2, I'm doing this. From 3 to 4, I'm doing this. And you got to learn how to time manage. And you got to, when you're doing that activity from 10 to 12, understand that that's the activity you're doing from 10 to 12. But most of us have our phone on. We have our YouTube on. We have a bunch of different tabs open. So I'm someone that really has become efficient with time management. Like yesterday, was it yesterday that we went to West Palm Beach? Yesterday we did, I don't even remember, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even remember what I did yesterday, but I'm able to wake up, go to the gym, do sales calls, go to a training in West Palm Beach, come back, do showings, send out offers, get deals under contract, do more sales calls. And it's all because of time management, right? And understanding that in order to make the income I want to make, X amount of output has to happen, right? And not only do I do that myself, but with my team, but people don't understand that. That's why goal setting is so important. If you don't set your goals, like if I set a goal, right, my goal this year was $2 million. If I don't break that goal down to the T, I'm not going to have the roadmap. Right, but when you have the roadmap, you understand, my hour is worth X amount. So I gotta move like that, right? How do these big time players, move? I'm obviously getting up there. I'm not someone like a Daniel G or a Ryan Pineda or a Pace Morby. Shout out to Daniel G, one of my favorite people in the space, which hopefully one day we'll be sharing for sure a stage. You gotta move a certain way, bro. You gotta understand your time is worth a certain amount of money, and you gotta time block and just allocate. Like for example, at training in West Palm, 1 to 3. At 3:15, I'm in the Uber. I'm at 3:30, I'm in the Bright Line. At 5 o'clock, I'm here. At 5:30, I'm at a showing. Like boom, 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 boom. But
I see what you're saying. There's no excuse.
There's no excuse. But most people do in real estate. They do 3 showings, they send out 2 offers, they talk to 1 client. They're like, I had a day, and I'm like, bro, you have no idea what these top people are doing. They're obviously leveraging their time, but leveraging the output by hiring a team and building the right people around you. So time blocking would be the answer to that question. The simplest way to put it is, again, write everything you got to do that day. And this is another thing I want to share real quick. If you set a goal for $1 million, right? Let's whip out the calculator real quick. You're worth, on an hourly basis, there's 2,080 hours in a year, right? Working hours. So if you want to be worth $1 million a year, you got to understand you're worth $480 an hour, right? So when you start writing down tasks, the first thing you got to do is in your business, understand what you do. So as you go, write everything you do down, whether you're sending emails, creating marketing flyers, prospecting, whatever the case is, and then label how much those things are worth an hour. Anything worth less than $480 an hour, you should not be doing. You should be delegating. So it starts with that, right? So now the only things I'm writing down on that piece of paper are things that are worth more than my time, correct? And then when I get those things down on the paper, I just plug them into the calendar. And I stay true. It's not about just doing it one time. It's about being consistent with that and doing it over a long period of time. But most people, bro, most realtors are fucking sending out offers on their computer. They're doing admin work, which, again, everybody starts from something. I had to do all that stuff when I first started. But understanding how much your hour is worth in the future and acting as if now is the key to actually, getting there. These are actionable and practical steps that anybody can take and implement.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, when it comes to real estate, I feel like I should be charging people to watch this episode because you're dropping,
I drop free value all the time at trainings, but this is the difference, right? I can share with you all this content, all this value, and it's real action steps that you can take right now. But for anybody, and I know is for anybody that sees significant results in this industry or in any industry, it has to be done over a long period of time. Even if you have all 100 of my training videos right now, you're gonna have questions. If you don't have access to me, you can't answer those questions. And then actually going in there and closing the fucking deal, that's different. So I'm very confident and comfortable not even gatekeeping anything and just sharing it all with you, because I know the people that are truly gonna succeed are the ones that are gonna join and actually do it within proximity to me. Now there's some people that might just join, for example, my group coaching, see my videos and be resourceful and have initiative and do it themselves. But for most people, that's not the case. So you got just, again, got to understand who you are and what role you're playing.
Yeah, no, I agree. And now when it comes to just your regular personal life, what do you like to do for fun? Like, aside from business, aside from real estate, aside from growing, aside from expanding, or are you, because I get into these modes sometimes too, where you're just putting away everything to the side and just grinding, and then you'll have fun later?
Yeah.
Do you try to find the balance with family, friends, and...
So there's really no balance. I like to say that there's a contrast. When you're working, you got to be working 100%. And if you do decide to take time off, you got to take time off, right? But at this point in time, brother, like I'm obviously I have things that I do. Like, you know, we went on a boat last Sunday or something like that. But like if you can't leave your business and your business goes up, if there's not systems in place at that point, you cannot take time off. Whenever I'm on a boat or if I go on quote unquote vacation, I'm either filming content, shooting content, closing deals, on sales calls. I haven't had a day off in, I don't know, over 2 years or something like that. Like, there hasn't been a day where my mind's just fully off. Either the team's operating, I'm on sales calls. Again, you're making money from your phone. So, but that's, for me, it's just a simple question. Are my parents still working? That's as simple as it gets. If they're still working, I'm still working. It doesn't matter unless I'm dying, like in the hospital. Like, that's the only time. And I'll probably still have the itch to do stuff, but I'll play golf here and there. But again, when I'm playing golf, I'm on the phone, I'm networking. I make sure it's a meeting that's worth my time. That's what people don't understand. If I go to Regatta, like you'll see me at Regatta, people will be, you're a fucking liar, you're at Regatta. I'm out there closing deals, brother. Anybody in real estate is recruitable, prospectable, and closable. Yeah. Anybody can buy, rent, or sell, right? Anybody can look at me and say, yo, I'm struggling right now where I'm at. I can teach them how to get their license and make money. So anywhere you go, brother, you're making money. If you're not at the level you want to be at, you should not take a second off of your life. It's 24/7, bro, 100%.
Well, I asked that question because you mentioned you have a girlfriend. And again, like I said before, my problem has been in the past that it's like I don't prioritize having at the moment, I don't prioritize having a relationship or having a girlfriend because of the time that I'm dedicating to what I need to do. So how do you find that balance with being in a relationship and then still going hard?
Right, so having your partner understand where you're going.
And I say that not to get too personal with you and your relationship. The reason why I say that is because I know there's people listening that they go through this where they want to be great, but then they also want to be a great boyfriend.
So,
and there's like a very, it's hard to do both.
So here's the key to relationships, friendships, business relationships, setting expectations, right? If you tell someone I'm going to do X, Y, Z up front and you don't do it on the back end, you're not providing what you said you were going to provide. But if I tell someone up front, yo, this is where I'm at, this is where I'm going, this is what it looks like, and they buy in to the vision, whether it's a client, a girlfriend, a friend, you can't really have a negative result. And if they don't, have the long-term longevity to deal with whatever you're going through, that's not the person for you. But my girlfriend at the time, she definitely understands the vision, and my time right now and my focus on the business is 100% my priority, and we still obviously work in our time, but you got to have someone next to you that understands where you're going, right? Because if there's someone that's going to be, especially with girls, bro, like the girl that you're with can either make or break you 100,000%.
That's why I brought this up, yeah.
Especially if you have someone that's going to be pulling you away from your work and you're not strong enough to say, yo, like this comes first. Because I'm not going to lie to you, I've been there, done that, where it's like I fight that battle of like, do I dedicate this time to this, or do I do that?
Because I remember you mentioned that you used to be very emotional, and the thing is, when it comes
still
to
am. Everybody still is, but again, it's about the discipline, not listening to your feelings and not acting upon your feelings. Mm-hmm. I'm still very emotional. Of course, everybody is, but as a man, bro, you got to understand that no one really gives a fuck, right? It sucks, but if you go crying to your girlfriend and tell her, because if I laid out the amount of quote unquote stress that I could potentially have, I don't have any stress, by the way, because if you want high income, you have to be able to handle pressure and stress. And if you can't do that, you're not going to get what you want, right? But if you're someone that's going to go crying to your girl and telling her all your problems and all your stress, that girl is immediately going to say, yo, this guy cannot handle situations. He cannot handle himself. I used to be that guy that would cry to his girl and be like, oh, baby, it's too much, bro, we go through it internally, right? So shout out to any man that's going through it mentally and keeping up a strong front and a strong core for the people they're providing for. Because, of course, bro, there's days where I'm like, yo, like, damn, man, this shit's a grind, man, for real. But it is what it is, bro. This is the life I chose, and I'm forever grateful for it. I wouldn't want it any other way, but you got to understand that we are the protectors and the providers for all the females in our life. So it's our job, it's our duty as men to, and I sound like Andrew Tate right now, but it's true, brother. Like, it's our job to be the front for these people, right? And if we show weakness, even though we could be having a bad day, that's what brothers are for, bro. Like, I'll cry to my brothers all day. I will not cry to my girl.
Yeah, that's true. You can't. I believe the same thing. I don't think a man should be more emotional than the girl because, you know,
but we
like,
are at times, you know.
At times, but I respect women and I respect their emotions too, and I feel that women are, you know, most of the time more emotional than men. So I agree with you. I can't be going to my girl telling her about all my problems because she probably thinks that she has more problems than me. So I need to be there to listen to. Yeah, but it is what it is. Like, I need to be there to listen to her and make her feel, you know, like, protected and safe, and like she should feel good. I shouldn't be the one coming to her with all these problems. So I agree with you, and I agree with you about how you have to add pressure to your life too, because a lot of times if you don't, you get comfortable, and that's what I'm going through. Like right now, even like my situation was when I moved out, I could have moved out to a less nicer place and feel more comfortable financially. But I said, fuck that. I don't want to do that. I want to move out somewhere that I will love living and I will really appreciate it, really enjoy it. And I'm going to have to fucking grind every month to pay my rent. Like, I'm going to have to figure it out. I'm going to have to really figure it out and add pressure to myself and my situation to now I can comfortably live here. And now I'm looking towards what's next. If I wouldn't have done that to myself and I would have moved out somewhere, you know, just like more manageable for my finances, then I would have been comfortable and I would have been saving up and I probably would have got soft. But I feel like adding pressure to yourself, like adding pressure is big, not just going through pressure, because we're always going to go through pressure in life. But I love what you're saying about how I'm not stressed. Nothing is stressful. I chose this life. I live the same life. I choose my stresses. So I'm never going to bitch at anybody about what I'm stressed about.
Correct.
Other than myself.
And your brothers, bro. You got to have your brothers to rely on. And I said something on my Instagram this morning that is...
Brothers can relate, though. Like, he's probably going through the same shit.
You're going through the same shit, you know? But I said something today on my Instagram, and it's like, if you ask to get fed, do not complain when your plate is full. You know, understand that if you ask for these blessings, it's not going to be all fine and dandy. You're going to have to deal with problems. Like, the people that learn how to solve problems are the people that know how to make high income. So... again, the only things that can stress me out, if I get a phone call right now, someone's sick in the hospital, if I have health issues, if one of my brothers have health issues, anything financial related, brother, like, and this is why I say trauma and ground zero is a privilege. I'm like, okay, we go back to ground zero, I can do it again. It doesn't matter. I did it once, I can do it again. Those are the true millionaires, the people that can lose it all and come back, because it's not luck if you can do it again. There's nothing, and you know, there are times where you'll get flustered, you'll get quickly stressed, you'll try to solve a problem really quickly. It's a time-sensitive problem, but going to sleep with stress, brother, I sleep like a fucking child every day of my life. I have almost 50 academy students. I have 10 to 15 real estate clients at a time. Deals could be falling through. People could be calling me, yo, I got this problem, this and that. When my phone goes on Do Not Disturb at fucking whatever time I'm going to sleep, I don't have any problems in my head. I go to sleep comfortable because at the end of the day, I asked for this. Understand that when you solve problems, you get paid. So you got a lot of people are in industries where most people in this industry, yo, I can't sleep. When I first started, I couldn't sleep. Oh, is the house going to close? Is this going to happen? Is that going to do?
Yeah, I feel
and
like
I'm like, brother, you learn, right? You learn as you go, but understand that you're gonna like stress yourself out for no reason. At the end of the day, it's gonna be okay. If it's not okay, it's not the end, bro. It's not the final result. So always understand that in every situation you've gone through, what was the final result? It was always okay at the end, right? So it's gonna be fine. Just understand that when you wake up, you gotta fix it. And then this is another thing I want to mention. The part of the brain that is responsible for anxiety is the same part of the brain that's responsible for gratitude and being grateful. So if you're anxious, it's because you're not being grateful for where the fuck you're at. So really understand that if you're going through anxiety right now, just be like, yo, let's reflect. Let's have a little bit of perspective. Where was I just a year ago? I love Snapchat memories because you go on there and you're like, damn. At that point in time, I was dreaming about this shit. You know, that's crazy. At one point in time, I was manifesting being on a podcast. I'm here right now. Yeah. You know, I might not be on fucking Joe Rogan, but damn, bro, I'm on a podcast. How can I get anxious about being on Joe Rogan one day if I'm grateful for being on this one right now? You understand? So that's a little bit of perspective as to how I think on a daily basis. Damn, bro, this fucking $50,000 deal's about to fall through.
I was going to say, even stress can be good stress, because when you're stressed out and
you're applying pressure.
Yeah, like you were saying, you're thinking, you're wondering, you're asking yourself, how is this happening? Why is this happening? What am I going to do? Those how, what, why are extremely important to your next move.
100%.
And it might feel a type of way, and you might feel sad, stress, and this and that, but everything in life is temporary. Just like the good feelings are temporary.
Correct.
You can make $1 million tomorrow and you'll feel amazing, but that's just a feeling. Feelings are temporary. So at the end of the day, you just have to be able to manage stress and handle it. So I respect you for saying all of that. And I just have a couple more questions, because I know we're coming up on time. But when it comes to first of all, before I get into that question, from what you've accomplished in 2020 to 2023, it's been 3 years. So I would say most of the time, big businesses or big successful people, it takes about 5 years to then, like 5 years of shit, like 5 years of no money, 5 years of grinding. You were able to become a success within 3 years. So do you consider yourself a success at this point because of what you've been able to do? Or are you just still like on the road, and then also what's next for yourself?
So the way I look at it, right, is I wasn't an overnight success in the industry. Like I said, I was doing entrepreneurship since I was 13 years old. All the things, and literally I was that guy in class raising my hand to go to the bathroom 5 times to sell a charger, to get an iPhone, to fix it. So it was a 12-year, 13-year period, right? All the habits and the lessons that I learned throughout that time, I was able to implement rapidly into this business, and that's why I'm this successful at this rate. As far as success, man, I mean, it's an everyday thing, but statistically, like, yeah, I'm at a point where I'm statistically like probably 0.00 something percent, 1% of realtors volume-wise nationwide. Forever grateful for that. And revenue-wise on the academy, we're hitting 6-figure months already. So to anybody on the outside looking in, that's for sure like a point of success. But we're just getting started, man. This is really, really just the beginning, 100,000%. My plan and my vision, which is already kind of, rolling out, is to be on stages in front of thousands of people. We'll watch back this clip one day and say, wow, damn, that guy really said it. Like everything else that's happened, right? It's all about having it up here and then speaking it and then having it happen. But the next 3 to 5 years looks for me like a lot of investing into real estate, personal development, always growing, retire my parents, building a massive team and influencing hundreds of thousands, millions of people, and changing lives, bro. Because at the end of the day, I feel like there's so many people out there that have so much potential internally, but no one has come out to pull out that potential. So I'll be speaking on stages with highly influential people for sure, and I'll be changing many, many lives, and that's obviously instilling a lot more real estate. I've done some luxury real estate already. I have a really good portfolio on that side, and I'm working with a lot of developers that are building a lot of multi-million-dollar homes that are coming soon. So 2024 looks huge, income-wise, business-wise, thank God health-wise. That's something that people don't really focus on, but if you have a lot of money but you don't have health, you really don't have anything. So investing back into my health, investing back into, for sure, living in the moment, being more present. This year I've been very, very, my mom just called me on the way here. She's like, bro, I haven't heard from you in 2 days. And I'm like, I know.
My mom did the same thing today,
but I'm doing this for her, so.
Exactly, yeah. She literally called me while I was at work this morning.
She's like, I haven't even seen your message.
She told me this, but she understands. Like, I told her, look, I'm at work, and I wish I could have seen you this week, but I'm gonna try to be there on Thursday.
Yeah, for sure.
It's love.
You gotta again, quote unquote, find the balance. But the future's bright, man. I'm just someone that I'm a huge fan of Russ, right? And that's someone that I'll be on stage with one day as well. I 100%. Not singing, but talking and influencing for sure.
Yeah.
He's the kind of person that sees things up here way before they happen. So a book that I want to recommend to everybody watching this is It's All in Your Head by Russ. It's a yellow book. I read that book over and over again. I share it to anybody that joins my academy, anybody that joins my team. Hearing it from a perspective of someone that literally was writing songs in the basement, right, with his friend. And when he was singing that song in the basement, he was singing it to 80,000 people like he just did with Ed Sheeran. He was really doing that in the basement, right? But time just hadn't caught up. So when time caught up, boom, I think it was 2 days ago where I saw his Instagram, he was singing in front of 81,000 people at SoFi Stadium. So all these things, brother, like they already happened 100%. It's just a matter of time, for it to catch up. So you're going to look back at this podcast one day, either I'll be dead or I will have YouTube videos out with Daniel G speaking. I'll have videos out with Russ on a stage, 100%. You can quote me on that.
Hey, that was
either one of the two things will happen.
That was a bold move by you saying I'll be dead but I get you because you got to get rich or die trying. And that shout out to 50 Cent, shout out to Russ. And
so yeah, check this tattoo I have. It's an astronaut. Basically, like, obviously, you know, the sky is not the limit. The universe, the stars is the limit. And I'm either going to get there or I'm going to die trying. That's why there's a skull inside the astronaut. So
exactly. That's
it's
how
one
I've
or the
always
other, bro. You got to
lived
be
too,
real. Anything can happen any day. So
I've
you
had
also want
that,
to live like that.
I've had that mentality since I was in elementary school. I mean, 50 Cent was one of my favorite rappers since I was in elementary school, and that stuck to my head. It's like, I'm going to go out and be great or I'm going to die, because at the end of the day, in Judgment Day, if I did what I had to do,
you're good.
I'm going to be fine, because I know what I tried to do and I know my intentions were good and I know what my goals were and I know where I was trying to head to, you know? So I feel that everybody should have that mentality. Like, if you have that mentality, it's inevitable. And I thank you for saying what you said on this podcast.
I appreciate you, man, for having me.
No, I really like what you said on this podcast, because first of all, it shows that you're self-confident and it shows that you know where you're headed. And this is a special podcast because we're not Joe Rogan yet. Shout out to Joe Rogan.
Shout out to Joe Rogan for sure.
Of course. But on this podcast, a lot of magic has happened. We've only been doing this for about 6 months.
That's you guys. I'm honored to be here, man, for real.
Thank you. We really appreciate
the platform.
And I know you're going to be on stage with all these guys like Gary Vee, Tony Robbins. Sure. It's inevitable and it's only a matter of time. But we're going to keep following your story and your hustle and your grind. And we're going to document these moments. This is what we're about. The 100%. Miami Hustle is documenting people's success in Miami. And even if you're not from Miami, but if you're visiting, you know, we want to document your success. So I want to just shout out a couple people, because we had, let's say, for example, Mikey Badanici is a DJ here in Miami. And he said his favorite, or one of his biggest goals was to perform at his favorite club that he went to growing up, which was Story. And 2 weeks after him saying it on this podcast, he went out and performed the Story for the first time in Miami Music Week.
What's his name?
Mikey.
Shout out Mikey, man. Shout out Mikey.
There's more, bro. There's more. Shout out to Gaio. You already know Gaio. He's a bare knuckle fighter.
Oh, bro, I know who he is. Yeah, he's that's the kind of guy that has the same kind of mindset that he does not give a fuck about what anybody thinks, and he can go in there fighting Conor McGregor and he'll be like, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you, dog. And he will. He will, because that's the kind of mindset that you gotta have, especially when you're fighting and in life as well.
Speaking of that mindset, again, shout out to Gaio. He comes on, he's 3-0, but he had that mindset. I felt that he had something special in him, which is why I invited him to be on this podcast, because just from what he was posting, I knew he was destined for greatness for his mindset. He came on this podcast and he's a solid guy. He spoke on what he wanted to do, and then he went out and did it. Right now, he's 5-0, and he's gonna be fighting for the belt soon. So there's another fighter. Shout out Gogo. He's from Macedonia, and he's been grinding his whole life, fighting his whole life. He came on this podcast 2 days before his title fight. He was 5-0, had a title fight, came on and said he deserves it, and he told us why he feels that he deserves it and why he knows he's going to take it. 2 days later, he's the champ. Shout out to the champ. Bro, I can go on and on, bro. Shout out Gabby Valdez. She was on here, talked about all the opportunities she's been getting from dancing and shuffling. Bro, within 2 weeks, does a music video with Pitbull and with Anuel. Dancing.
Damn.
So, bro, I can literally keep going. Shout out Corey. Corey was here. He was talking about how he wants to go viral and he wants to join.
He will go viral. He's funny as hell.
He already has.
Yeah.
Bro, after going on this podcast, he went viral at least 3 times, bro.
He's funny.
And yeah, he's hilarious. So you're going to be one of these people. And anybody else that wants to come on this show, just know that we're documenting everybody's success. So it's only a matter of time. And I guess the last question I would want to ask you is what Miami means to you. First of all, were you born and raised here?
I was born and raised in Miami, for sure. Yeah. Miami is home. I like to travel as much as I can. I haven't much this year. Well, I travel every day, but like when I mean travel, like I mean like vacation,
but
right?
You'll never call anywhere else home? Because that's what I say
it's
all
perspective,
the time.
Bro. When you go somewhere else, you're like, bro.
I feel you.
Like, what the fuck is... And then I have people that are like, yo, I want to leave Miami. I'm like, all right, peace, leave, so I don't have to deal with your traffic.
Bro, even the mentality is different.
It's different, bro. You're around money.
Yeah.
Like, you want to make money. Like, people are like, oh, but it's so expensive. I'm like, bro, that's the wrong mindset.
So go get more money.
So go make more money. Whenever we're having, like, because, bro, just because, I want to say this real quick, just because people are making 6 figures a month or 7 figures a month, doesn't mean they're not dealing with finances, right? They got to, like, if you're growing at that rate, you got to invest at that rate. So whenever there's a situation where we're like, yo, like, I don't know if we can't afford that. It's like, all right, how do we make more money to afford that, right? It's not like, yo, we gotta, bro, like Danny could be a testament to me. Like, we've been in situations where I don't have like not even 2 months of reserves, and like we gotta dish out bread to make something happen, and we're like, not once has it crossed our head to be like, yo, like maybe slow down. It's like, yo, look, how can we get on the phone right now and make some fucking money to pay for that and to invest in that and to keep growing? So that's the kind of Miami mindset you got to have. There's so much money around here. If you get yourself in the right rooms and your proximity to people is close enough, you're going to make money, bro. So having that mindset of like, yo, it's too expensive, broke mindset. But Miami means a lot to me. I grew up playing baseball here. My entire family's from here. And, you know, I think we're in the most unique city in the world, you know, especially for real estate. So shout out to the 305, brother. And shout out to you guys. I want to say really quickly, you know, being on this podcast was a great experience. The hospitality was great. It was a pleasure meeting you guys. I definitely want to eventually come back on and do maybe like a documentation of like, yo, this is where you were at the first time, this is where you were at the second
100%.
time. So anybody here that wants to share their story, 100%, I recommend you guys take the time.
Thank you.
To come on the Miami Hustle and share that.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Yes,
Until
sir.
next time.
Yes,
We're
sir.
going to have you back on. We're going to, whenever you want to come back on.
Absolutely. We'll do it
just
again.
share with us your progress and
Absolutely. No, I'll be following you guys. I'm sure you guys will be following me.
Yes, sir.
And to anybody listening to this, I hope you guys can not only learn the things that we shared, but apply, man. Don't be afraid to apply. Go out there and fail and learn and get to where you guys want to be.
Let's go.
Let's get it.